This episode is brought to you by GPRS. Construction professionals know that utilities and concrete reinforcements can cause big problems when you're on the job. GPRS helps you avoid them. We use ground-penetrating radar to detect rebar, conduit, and post-tension cables before you cut, core, or drill. And our concrete scans are 99.8% accurate. We guarantee it, helping you reduce hits, downtime, expenses, and keep your people safe. To keep your job site safer, visit gprsinc.com. Ever been on a job before sunrise, generators running, diesel in the air, and concrete trucks starting to stack up? And you're thinking, do we order the right mud? Is this mix going to hold up? Did I ask all the right questions in the pre-pour meeting? And if this thing goes sideways, am I going to know what to do? That's why we built Concrete Logic Academy. It's for concrete people who want to get better at the work, not theory, not recycled conference slides, stuff you can actually use on the job. Go to concreteschool.co and get free access while it's open. Again, that's concreteschool.co.
What's the most used man-made material on Earth? I'll give you the answer. Concrete. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. Have you ever stopped to think about the sidewalks, driveways, bridges, or the buildings around you? They're all made from concrete, so why don't we discuss it more? In each episode of Concrete Logic, we'll explore a unique concrete-related topic with the help of industry professionals shaping the trade's future. We'll talk with suppliers, contractors, architects, engineers, specialists, and even proponents of competing materials. We'll get their views on concrete and their visions for its future. So get ready to mix things up with Concrete Logic, where we turn the spotlight on the material that's everywhere but often overlooked. This is the Concrete Logic Podcast. And now, here's your host, Seth Tandit.
Welcome to another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. And today I have Dr. Jon Belkowitz. He's back on the show. And today we're going to talk about spring. You know, the weather's warming up. Spring is when concrete starts telling the truth. So what is your concrete telling you? Now that hopefully where you're listening from, all the snow and ice have melted. Kind of had
Not in Colorado.
No, we've had an actual spring. It feels like we've had an actual spring this year, so that's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, yep. But before we get into the topic at hand, just remind everybody how you can support the show. First of all, if you learn something from this episode or the 150 plus episodes that we've done so far, please share the podcast with a colleague or a coworker. The next thing you can do is if you go to concretelogicpodcast.com, you can reach out to me, and there's a couple ways you can reach out to me. At the top of that homepage, there is a Ask Seth option on the menu. Click on that, and that pops up an email form. In that email form, what I'm looking for is a topic or a guest suggestion. So reach out, let me know what you want to hear, who you want to hear from on the podcast, because that's why we're doing this. We're doing this for you all. The other way you can get a hold of me is on the same homepage. If you don't want to fill out that form, there's a microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. You click on that, and that'll record your message to me. It leaves me a voicemail. It records right over your computer. And then the last way is it's same homepage. You will find a link there to the Academy. If you click on that, they'll take you right to the Academy. And if you enjoy the way we teach you all on the podcast, you'll enjoy the Academy as well, except for we expand on the podcast. So not only will you get the same kind of, the same kind of topics and education that you get on the podcast, you also get quizzes and resources and articles. And also, which if you're a member, I feel like you guys aren't taking advantage of this, is that you can post your own concrete questions on the platform. So post your questions on there. Everybody's having problems out there. Don't be scared to ask. If you are scared to ask, just send me a direct message and we'll take care of it from there. But we guys got to get, your problems out there. We're all having the same problems, and the more we discuss them, the more we all will benefit from them. So that is concretelogicacademy.com. And if you forget all that, go to concretelogicpodcast.com. It has all the links and everything to the academy. Dr. Jon, let's get to the topic at hand.
Yes, sir.
So we were talking before we hit record is paying attention to what's going on to your existing concrete. Not this time of year and we'll probably do an episode here soon about hot weather concrete because we're getting into this to the season. But what we're talking about is existing concrete. Now that the weather's warming up, your concrete's trying to tell you something. So what is it trying to tell us?
Well, I mean, Dan McCoy once said about the concrete pump that it's the ultimate lie detector on the job site. And I tell you that transition between spring and summer, it's another one of those lie detectors where, am I sharing that photo? I'm not sharing that.
Not at the moment.
And for the folks who are listening, this is a podcast. What I'm showing is a sidewalk from Trine University. I teach there during the year, a material sciences class, and we have the sidewalk that's part concrete that was made in the late 90s. And then on the left side is that late 90s concrete, and it looks like traditional concrete that's been there for about 20, 30 years. It's gray, and you can see some of the sand showing through, and you can see remnants of the broom finish. And Seth, tell me if I'm lying or not. You could still see those broom finish strokes.
Yeah.
But on the right-hand side, you have this other concrete that looks almost like they used a type white cement. That's what I find crazy is nobody asks, when did concrete go from being gray to green or gray to brown or gray to white like this? And then also, if you look a little bit closer, just like I did before, I don't know if I know how to make this work. There you go.
Yeah, there's a dark spot in the newer concrete. So we're looking at a photo, I guess. Half of it is showing older concrete, and then the other half is showing concrete that was placed last year.
Right.
And the older concrete is much, much darker. It's definitely a gray, and then the new concrete on the right hand side is almost white, and it's got some blotches. It looks like blotches in it, and then what I would assume is some scaling. It looks like
that's delamination and scaling and flaking of the surface. And then you lose those broom strokes too, the broom marks.
Yeah, you don't see any broom.
Right now, whether this was caused by type 1, I don't care about that conversation. It's just during the winter, we didn't see that. Whether there was excessive ice or snow on the ground, or there was a combination of that and slush or dirt, nobody looks down to see the wear and tear of the concrete during the winter. We more look down just to watch our steps. So when it comes to that transition between the spring and summer, which we're at, this is when we get the most amount of rain. So our concrete is at its cleanest. And the great thing about concrete when it comes to a litmus paper test, when we see damage in concrete, that damage is often accentuated after the rain. When good concrete dries, damaged concrete has a tendency of holding onto the water and staying, as what Seth said, blotchy. A good way of looking for alkali-silica reaction is after it rains, if I can find it quickly, ASR gel cracks. Not only do they have that Isle of Man crack, but the gel in it will hold on to water more so than good concrete that isn't cracked. So it's the same thing here. The bad concrete is holding on to water in the more deteriorated spots, and there's just a whole bunch of deterioration going on. Oh, no.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm just playing around. So is it starving for water still? Is that why it's holding on to the water, or what's going on there?
No, when it comes to the deterioration of the concrete surface, now what we're doing is increasing the surface area. We're losing that cap, that cementitious cap over the surface. And now we've got that interface between the paste and the rock. I think you can see it right here.
Yeah.
So that surface area by itself, because it's going in and around the rock, is just going to hold on to more water. And just because there's more surface area, there's going to be more water than if it was just a flat surface without all these undulations from the exposed rock. So yeah, that's normally why. Let me see if I can find that ASR picture. And especially when it comes to ASR gel or even corrosion, steel corrosion. Wherever concrete's cracking with steel corrosion, you normally can see the steel bleeding out of the concrete cracks.
Right. Yeah, I think we've shared that on the episode before. That's pretty
Yeah.
gross.
Well, it's gross, but you can start seeing things quite clearly. This is a spillway. Do you mind if I share this? And you can be the interpreter?
That
Right. So I guess this is a little bit more severe, but why don't you give your audience, your
so back up. You zoomed in too close. I want to give them both.
sorry.
All right. So
Sorry.
what we're looking at is this is you said it's a spillway?
That is a spillway.
Oh, okay. So for folks that don't know what a spillway is, this looks like some water up against a concrete wall. And it looks like the water is below the level that's been before and above the water on the wall itself. There's a bunch of white streaks falling from almost from the top of the wall down to the water. What are these white streaks?
So that white streak is a combination of salt, water, and steel, because they're not just white, they're like white, creamy to brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of the salt, the silica gel, so the ASR gel, water, and then steel bleeding out. And can I
Yeah.
zoom in now?
Yeah. And the salts, just to throw back to a Bob Higgins episode, we've talked about this before. Are those originating from the aggregate that's within the concrete usually?
It is, I would say this is going to be my liberal approach, as you say, but it's originating from the body of the concrete. And that could be from the rock, but it's the combination, the gel, that's originating from the rock, the ASR gel.
So it could come from what's in the cement as well that's interacting with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have some limestone fines in there, especially that have some type of expansive, dolomitic limestone, but yeah, you can get the same thing. And that's called alkali-carbonate reaction. And there is no adding a little bit of fly ash or nanosilica. That stuff, you're just screwed. If you
Yeah.
have it, get rid of the stuff. But my point I was trying to make from this, all those gels, you did a great job illustrating that water line is extremely low. So these cracks are pretty much dry. So I wanted to show this as a before picture of these are the cracks. We can clearly see the gels coming out of the crack,
Yeah.
but this is what it looks like when the concrete is dry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Looks
now,
like it's scabbing on top of the concrete. It's like a
yes,
white scab.
the technical term, I love it, is exudation. When there
Uh,
is a gel oozing out of the cracks, and that's how you define it, oozing out of the cracks.
right.
Do you mind if I share another picture after the rain?
Okay. You've already shared pictures. You can stop asking. Just do it.
I'm gonna ask you every freaking time.
Okay.
So this is after the rain. So there are times that the gel can be washed off, or the salts can be washed off, and the concrete has dried out. But as you see here, let me see if I can go to that picture. Do you mind if I zoom in on it?
So is this the same wall?
It's a similar wall. How's that?
Similar. Okay.
Yeah.
So did this have the ooze, the
Yeah.
white ooze coming out of it before and
The
now it's gone?
exudation, yes. The white ooze, it was It got cleaned off from the rain, and what you're left with is all this staining. And you can't help that you're going to have more gel that's going to come out of the concrete, right? It's
Yep.
already cracked. The problem is not surface. The problem is within the body of the concrete.
Yeah.
So no matter what you clean off the surface, it's going to ooze out again.
It's infected.
Right.
Yep. If I only
You
knew
see-
someone that had a product that would fix that.
Well, hold on a second. That's a really good thing. Like, okay, yeah, Eddystone. We're definitely using Eddystone on concrete that has ASR, and we're not using it blindly. We're measuring it using 3 different types of methods. So we're making sure it's doing a good job. That being said, I mean, the Eddystone is not fixing it. And I don't mind saying that Eddystone is not the chemotherapy to the cancer.
Right.
There is no chemotherapy. This is, inches, if not feet, into the concrete. There's no taking care of it. This is trying to delay the inevitable.
Right.
Which is-
Eventually it's going to deteriorate and crumble, but you're prolonging the life of the concrete, which
Yeah,
is a good thing. That's a green
it's a good thing.
Sustainable thing.
Somebody else that I don't think you've had on your podcast, on the podcast, is a gentleman named Matt McCombs.
Well, yeah, he's been on.
Come on,
Yeah. Couple times.
get out. Okay, you need to have him back on.
I've been asking him if he's listening.
He's busy. He's busy. Come on.
He's everyone's busy.
Everybody's busy. But Matt is extremely busy at doing what he does best, which is talk about concrete and helping people with concrete solutions using admixtures. One of the things that Mr. McComb said when low carbon concrete became a thing, he goes, the fastest way to reduce the carbon footprint of your job site is to have your salesman call and make sure forms are up and they're ready to release trucks.
Yep.
I freaking love that. Like, that is just perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
One thing about these cracks, these ASR cracks, what I like about this picture is it shows the progression. Like, you can see there's a crack growing right here. You can see that a crack has grown here and it's starting to create others that have that similar, triangular shape. And then we start seeing these areas, what happens when a crack that has already grown and it ages. And the thing is, where we have that intersection of the 3 cracks, you start losing your concrete. Your concrete starts popping out similarly as it's doing right here. So this is one, I use this picture a lot because it shows the age, the gel, and based on the formwork, you can kind of get an idea of the size of the cracks, because ASR cracks, they can be this big and they can be the size of this wall. So it is one of my favorite pictures when it comes to ASR cracking.
Yeah.
Like, look at that.
If you want to learn more about ASR, look up episode 147. Dr. John did that one too.
Another good person to talk to about ASR, the person who got me interested, like really in the science of it, lady named Dr. Curtis, Professor Kimberly Curtis from Georgia Tech. She has this paper from 1996, soft X-ray gel morphology. It's a test that you do. And the pictures that she takes of ASR gel, I don't know if it was the first ones that we ever took of the ASR gel rosette, but it really shows how the infection takes over the concrete or the cement paste and the rock. And knowing that and seeing it under the microscope really helps us understand how to try to reduce its vicious, nasty cycle. So, I'm a huge fan of this as well as the research. Now, before you end it, because I can hear you starting to do, well, thanks for joining us. That seems like about what we have for today. You weren't?
No.
Okay.
That's how you end your coffee talk on LinkedIn.
I do.
That's what you do.
I do it. Eddystone does help counteract some of the negative impact that concrete goes through during the wetting and drying cycles and some of the contaminants that come from outside the concrete into the surface. Like, I can't do anything about what's happening. Look what Whitney brought me.
Nice. Bowl of fruit.
That smells
Man.
like summer. But what happens from the outside in? Because, like I said, ASR happens from within. At a certain point, it's going to exhaust a majority of the supplements to continue that ASR to thrive and survive. Where it gets it from there is outside the concrete, the rain, the snow, de-icing salts and brines, the splashing, so on and so forth. So if we can protect it from that, not only with the sealer, but with a healer, then we get back to what you said, increasing our carbon footprint by not having to tear the concrete out and also being able to choose how we use our money and spend our money.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yes, sir.
And as always, I have Dr. Jon's link if you want to reach out to him and learn more about what he's working on and how he could help you out. Please check that out in the show notes and make sure you're looking at the show notes. There's all kinds of resources in there. Again, there's links to the podcast and the academy. Check out the academy.
The PDHs, PEs have to update their PDHs in July for Maryland, Indiana, Texas, but it's coming up in July this year. So ethics PDHs, I tell y'all, I go through the CLA to do my PDHs. It's money well spent. And unlike other PD, I learned something new every time I take a course. And I tell you something that sounds stupid or silly to say, but I just finished taking an ASR course and a chemical admixtures course from PDH Engineer. And it hasn't been updated since the late 80s. Like, they're still talking about using calcium chloride as an accelerator.
Well, some people just go through the motions and other people want to learn. Whatever.
Amen. Right. Thank God for the Concrete Logic Academy.
All right. All right, Dr. Jon, thanks again. Folks, until next time, let's keep it concrete.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Concrete Logic Podcast. If you got value from the show, here's how you can provide value back to support the show. Visit concretelogicpodcast.com and click the donate button to send value back. All dollar amounts are truly appreciated. And now, to close out the show, here's Mike Dunton.
That alarm always sings, couple hours before the sun comes up. Open up the side, put some diesel in the lights and wait till the trucks roll up. And this ain't how most folks live their lives, dripping in sweat, working overtime. But while they're tying their ties for their 9 to 5s, we're out here changing these skylines with wood, iron, and mud. We work hard for a dollar, give thanks to the Lord above. Never make a man do something you can't prove. Hard work calls for a drink or two. Expect more, it's written in our blood. With wood, iron, and mud. From the swamps to the city, from the Lone Star heat to the woods of the Georgia pine. Good old boys and girls who ain't afraid of getting dirty for a clean time. And if you want to see the fire in a grown man's eyes beneath the hot summer sun, find the wild-eyed boys clocking days and nights, working hard to get that job done.